highlights or challenges of the week. What did you face this week that was challenging to you? Good morning. We are finally at Friday. And I know that you all have been challenged with something, either now or in your full presence. What we're going to find out today is exactly what have you been challenged with. We are here with Finally Friday as a way to help you understand your challenges. Good morning. Good morning. Waiting for you, Trish, to come in. Please and thank you. On your phone side, please and thank you. My co-host is here with me. And I thank you for being here this week. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are going to be talking about facing our lions with challenges and asking the question, what is the best advice to give yourself? Of course, what that involves is your mirror talk. We do mirror talking around here. And as we do mirror talking around here, we're asking the question for you. Many times people call in and they give really great advice. But we're going to give you a chance to practice the mirror talk today. Because a lot of people don't think about how to talk themselves into something and how to talk themselves out of something. And if you've ever been given advice, how do you train yourself to give yourself advice? If you're the one that everybody comes to for advice, what advice have you given to yourself lately? Trish, we'll start with you this morning.
Can you repeat it, please? Because my mom was talking to me.
I give my best advice to myself, and the best advice that I give to myself is no more drama. Understand that. That's what I tell myself. My question to you is, what advice do you give to yourself? Be careful of the background noise, please.
The advice I give myself is in the heat of the moment, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt myself. Because I always come out on top at the end. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I am thankful for, because I don't want to forget that, I'm thankful for getting through the week despite any challenges that I faced. And you know what else gets me through the week? When I hear other people and I hear that I've helped them or I've inspired them. There's nothing like that feeling to be able to help someone to help themselves. And around here, we do a different kind of help. Instead of giving you all the answers, we help you to come up with your own answers. Because life is all about helping yourself. Oh yeah, we need advice. We need to know how, we need to know when, and we need to know why. All those are key pointers that you gain access to. Did you know that when you add access to your life and you find the keys to your understanding how, what, when, why, to your feelings, to your emotions, thinking about advice, you're going to gain the key to your knowledge. Pierce Princess, good morning. Good morning and welcome. We're at finally Friday. Did you get a chance to hear yourself? Play back. We so enjoyed you yesterday. Today is a different segment on Finally Friday. And we're asking the question, what is the best advice to give to yourself? What is the best advice to give to yourself? Oh no, that's okay. What is the best advice to give to yourself? We have our caller, Pierce Princess.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Right. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. I'm sleepy, but I saw it was 5, and this is normally the time I get off of the phone call with my boyfriend. So
Okay.
I was like, I'll stop on over.
We're glad you did, all the way from California.
5:39 a.m.
We love it. What is the best advice that you can give to yourself?
Like myself right now, or myself in like the past?
Present, past. What is the best advice you've given to yourself or can give to yourself? Because we all give advice to other people, right?
Yeah.
People look for us to give them advice. But now, taking care of yourself, what do you find has been the best advice, past or present?
I would say that I'm stronger than I think.
You are stronger
than you think.
Go ahead and say that again. I talked right over you. Can I apologize?
Oh, no, you're fine. You're good. I'm sorry, my bad. I had, like, the delay and everything.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't take it personally.
Okay.
Yes. What did I say?
What is your best advice that you've given yourself?
Oh, yes, you're stronger than you think.
Stronger than you think. We love that advice. And challenges. Did you ever face a challenge in your life? We are top 8 in podcasting. That's nice to know. What challenges have you recently faced that you have looked at now and you've overcome that challenge? What do you think?
Oh my God, that's such a good question.
It is.
It's so funny too, because I feel like I've overcome so much in my life. Although I'm young, I had to go through a lot when I was young. Sadly, I really wouldn't want to wish that on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Having to deal with like mental health at a young age.
Mm-hmm. So you've overcome that, obviously, because look at you and your intellect now.
Yeah. I really overcame a really, really dark period in my life. And honestly, I think what helped me too is like everybody always says the phrase, oh, it'll get better. But like, for somebody who has dealt with depression and deals with depression, at that moment, it really just clouds your brain, and you just feel like everything around you, there's just a dark cloud over you, and you just have such tunnel vision. And I would say, to change that, I say to myself, it only gets better when you decide you want it to get better. Because it doesn't matter how many people you have supporting you or who love you, you need to make that decision and that choice to, change for the better. And although it's really hard and really scary, I'm really happy that I went through the struggles that I went through to really learn more about myself and become the person who I am today.
Right. That is some very good advice. Trish, what do you think about that advice? And we want to say good morning to those of you who are following us on Facebook. I do see one person, and I don't know who it is, so if you would be kind enough to just tell us where you're listening in from, please, and thank you. Good morning. Trish, what do you think? Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
I really love that advice. And what you said about the depression and things like that. I was there too, and I've had people say, it's going to get better and things like that. And like you said, in that moment, it doesn't feel like it's real. It's like they're telling you a fairy tale. And
you can't even imagine what your life is going to be like happy, because everything around you is just like darkness.
Exactly. And it's very hard to come to the conclusion, what they're saying is probably a possibility. If there's hope, And I've been there before, and it took a lot of strength for me to say, you know what, I'm tired of this shell that I'm in. I got to get out of it, and I got to do something better. There has to be more than this. And to realize that I'm stronger than I think I am.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for that conversation piece, the both of you. What I get out of it is learning to help yourself. Because people can tell you what you need to do, but it's only you that is going to benefit if you want to. Now, with that being said, we want you to understand that there are people who deal with severe depression. And if you are suffering from severe depression, we ask that you get the help. If you're with a doctor, we ask you to stay with your doctor. I am not a doctor. I'm a wellness coach, certifiably so. And I will reach out to you if you reach out to me and get you resources. But here's the thing, the mindset. Talking about a mindset. Helping you to help yourself. Advice is something that people count on. When you hear good advice, what do you do with it? Do you pass it on? Or keep it to yourself? Or say, wow, that was really good advice, and I'm going to store it until I use it? Or does it go through one ear and out the other? For Vibe Talk, because we do refrain from advice and we let the people speak, we want you to be the decider of your mind, the decider of the mirror of your soul, which is your inner, deeper self. We want you to be inspired by you and by what you hear, because advice is free. but it's also valuable. So we want to see what you do with your advice, and that's why Friday is all about facing the lions, facing your challenges. You get to come in and you get to say, I have really faced this week. How many of you have read a story that has impacted your life? Anybody?
I have.
Yeah. So you've read stories that have impacted your life. Did you see them challenge themselves in any of the things that you've ever read about? Challenge themselves in their own advice?
Yes, I have.
And what was that experience? Can you tell us a little bit about what you read and how they challenged themselves, if you picked up on it?
So this book, it's can I say the name of it?
Yes.
It's the Bluford Theory by Michael Lampoon.
Uh-huh.
And one of the books, the girl is in a abusive relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a friend who's also in an abusive relationship, and she's telling her friend to get out of the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not following her own advice.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes to a period of time where something happens and it gets worse, but she's like, okay, it's time for me to get out of it. And it's ironic because she's like following her friend's example because her friend got out of it because she told her to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's like, because my friend did it, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
So she decided to follow her own advice when she saw that her advice was valid to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Pierce Princess?
I am not much of a reader, but I would say when it comes to self-advice, a way I like to kind of, check in with myself is I have my mantra, which is don't talk about it, be about it.
I love it. That's me too. Good morning, James. We are live talking about advice. What is the best advice you've given to yourself? Go ahead, Pierce Princess.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say also one big thing for me is I'm a big stickler about hypocritical people.
Yeah.
If you're a hypocrite, that really just does rub me the wrong way. So 9 times out of 10, if you're a hypocrite, I'm most likely not going to take your advice. I'll be respectful when you're telling it to me, but I will, it's also good to take people's advice with a grain of salt, especially if people, like Trish was saying, if you can't take your own advice and if you're going to be preaching all of these things to me and I see your life, and it's, not, and you're talking about how you're unhappy with that and how you and you're trying to give me advice, but you can't, practice what you preach, I think that's kind of a red flag.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I believe it was James that was on with us. We wanted to talk to you, James. When you guys come in and we're on the live, be patient with us. We are really trying to bring you a very good podcast, one that will be life-changing for you, one that will give you something to think about. Thank you, too, for that. So now, today what we're going to learn, while we're in the lion's cage, and what I mean by that is metaphorically, when we're facing lion-like problems, we've got to think about some advice to ourselves. Because no one's in that lion cage but you. They may have experienced challenge. They might have experienced same feelings about the challenge that is similar to yours. But now, when someone calls upon us to give advice, how do we help ourselves? One of the first things that we talk about is getting connected to yourself. How do you get connected to yourself? Anyone can answer. This is an interactive podcast. How do we get connected to ourselves? What do you guys think?
I would say maybe by surrounding yourself with things that lift you up instead of tearing you down. Developing positive coping strategies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Trish. What do you think?
I think being connected to myself. First, I would ask myself, what would I do in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what I would do, I would be more comfortable with, and that's connecting with myself other than asking an outside opinion from my usual norm of how I react to things.
Mm-hmm. By the way, there's no wrong or right answers. When we think about getting connected to ourselves, you all talked about surrounding yourself. But how well do you know yourself? What do you know about yourself? When you think about it, that's a rhetorical question. Sometimes we strive to get to know others more than we do ourselves. We're not in tune to ourselves. Many of you have tuned in to Vibe Talk since we've been here. And you know about Vibe Talk. You guys can finish certain sentences. You know meanings. You know what the metaphors of Vibe Talks are. But now when I ask you about yourself, to know yourself is to give yourself good advice. But if you don't know yourself, your goals, what you stand for, what you dream of, knowing yourself allows you to have purpose and meaning. Purpose and meaning. It requires, when we are facing our lions in life, to focus. To focus. How hard is it for you guys to focus? Is it hard? Is it easy? What do you all think? That's for the audience as well.
Am I able to kind of ask you a question about something you previously said?
Yeah, sure.
So when you were talking about how well do you know yourself, so I kind of feel like I have kind of the opposite issue, because there's a point in my life when I was younger, I didn't even know myself. I had no self-identity. I had no idea who I was. And through therapy and through all the things I went through, I kind of feel like I got too self-aware. And because I am I'm really hard on myself, and I'm my biggest, critic. I kind of find that really hard to separate my self-critique and my reflection, and being so aware that it becomes really overwhelming at times.
That's really a good.
Do you have any advice for that?
Well, first I want to say recognize your limit. You might have a superhero power trait, but in real life, you are no superhero. You're going to have your low abs, you're going to have your high abs. And when I say in life you're not a superhero, because we do talk superhero talk in here, that means your value, the superhero. So when I say find a superhero, that's not a double standard. But I want you to recognize your limitations. When we go see superhero movies, we never see them get tired, right?
Yep.
We never see them get tired. We root for them. We scream and yell for their victories. Give yourself a chance. Give yourself permission to acknowledge that you are human. Does that sound?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is always something I've struggled with. Burnout.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll go into something with too much, energy, and then towards the end I have no stamina, mentally. Yeah. So that is always something I have really tried to struggle with, trying to find that, right balance.
Yeah. And we have a podcast that's talking about balancing and also limitations. We had someone earlier in the week, and when I said knowing your limits, you spoke of something of great value of being overwhelmed at times. Sometimes we're overwhelmed. For me, and I'll speak for me and see if you all have felt this way. You think you just can do everything. And then you're going full speeds ahead and you realize, I'm tired. When you recognize you're being tired, do you lay yourself down? Do you take a power nap? Do you just rest? Or do you always have to be running full speed ahead? See, recognizing your limitation. And that's not double standard, because you'll hear me say reach your limit, limitless. But that's being aware of your self-care. If you're tired, rest. Some people say, well, I don't have time to rest. I know people like that. What do you mean you don't have time to rest? So you're just going to go and burn out? Find a time in your day where you're just going to do nothing but rest. And I mean not attached to a phone, not attached to a TV. There are days where my TV is off. And then there are days where the TV is on. I'm not necessarily paying attention to it. It's there for noise. But when my brain needs rest, I start to respond to it. How about you guys?
I love that.
Yeah, pay attention. That's paying attention.
And I'd say also with people with depression too, because it isn't something that, sometimes you just have bad days. And for the people out there who do struggle with depression, it is okay to have those bad days. There are days where you have no reason why you feel depressed and you just can't get out of bed. And it's okay to feel that way. And it is okay to take a rest day for you to decompress and don't feel bad or feel guilty for needing that time for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that. And Pierce Princess, because she said she dealt with that, the people that deal with those things can help you best. They can help you best to deal with depression. If you've never had depression, you can never give advice to someone because you don't know what that's like. Trish, you know what that's like, right?
Yes. And it's like my bad days used to be terrible. It used to be worse because I'm very hard on myself and I try not to make mistakes. I know that's unreal or unrealistic.
Same. I do the same thing.
I try not to make mistakes, and when I make mistakes, it becomes a bad day, and then I'm just so hard on myself. And Vibe Talk has helped me to realize, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. And it becomes a problem when I keep repeating the mistake. It becomes a problem if I don't learn from the mistake. And, the mistake can turn into a triumph when I learn from it and I use what I learned and I do better the next time, Yeah.
Making mistakes is to challenge yourself. If no one ever made a mistake, then you would have no challenges to learn from in life. You would have no challenges. What were you saying, Pierce Princess?
I was saying it's also okay to make the same mistake over again. I have done that plenty of times. I did not learn from the first lesson, and that second lesson, I've been there many times. Even the third lesson, where I've made so many mistakes, but I've made sure to bounce back and to learn from those mistakes. That way, I don't repeat them in the future.
Mm-hmm. Always remember that mistakes are not failures. There are learning lessons. And so we realize the mistake after we've gone through the challenge. And so mistakes can be made, but view them as challenges. That's what we want to bring to you. Thank you so much. So now, people give up. They tend to be able to, they give up when they're facing their lions, and they do this because they're not seeing the overall victory. The least little win is winning in a very significant way. I want you to understand that. When you are focused and you're looking at your small wins, those are the victories. Your small wins. Pay attention. Because in order for you to have made it through Monday, you're here till Friday. For some of us, and I'm glad you guys talked about depression, because that's a lot of challenge for many people. And I'm glad you guys were so open about that. That's a challenge. You've made it all the way from Monday to Friday. We call it Friday here, don't we, Trish?
Yes, we call it Friday.
And why is it called Friday?
Because we made it, guys. We made it through the week.
Yeah, be celebratory toward yourself when you are facing your lions in life. Some of us are facing true big lions. And remember how I said every week you're going to have a new lion. If you're still fighting with the old lion, the old challenges, just know that you can win and you can celebrate your winnings, even though they may be small. Celebrate that. I like showing up. Just a couple of days ago, I wrote a note to my youngest, who turned 24 yesterday, and I wrote to him about showing up. From the time he was born, he let you know he was here. He had arrived. And that's been his true character. That's the character that I see in him. No matter how he gets there, he's going to show up. I love that. How about us? Are we showing up in life? Or are we delayed? Have we arrived late? Or have we just missed the bus and the train altogether and not shown up at all? What's your take on that, guys?
I would say right now in life, I feel like I arrived at the bus on time. I had time to spare. I planned. I don't know. I feel like I really took the steps to prepare and took that time for myself. And like you were saying about the small rewards, it took a bunch of small rewards and taking things one day at a time to get to this big reward. And this big reward did not happen until like 5 years. What I hoped for myself when I was younger is what I brought into fruition now. but it really took time and patience, because there's no way, if I hadn't had taken that time, that my younger self would have been able to handle any of the challenges being thrown at me, like even the work situation. There was no way I would have gone through that at all if I was still stuck in that mindset I was in before.
Show up. Trish, what about yourself? Thank you for that. What about you? We say Friday. Any day could be a Friday, but since it literally is, you can celebrate it every day of the week because you've arrived. It doesn't matter how you got there. The fact remains that you've arrived. Go ahead, Trish.
I showed up. I feel like it took me a while to show up. I was late, but at the same time, I was early, if that makes sense, because late as in I should have had this mindset. I should have shown up when I thought, you know what, it's time. But I procrastinated. And early as in, it's better late than never. Like, I'm glad that I'm here now, and that I know now it's not too late, because I'm only 21, so
Yeah.
I have lots to learn, and a lot of challenges to face. And now my mindset is more so I'm coming in this arena to win, not because that's how you see your victory. You come in there with the mindset of winning, not I'm gonna lose. Yeah, I'm totally gone. No, I have a stronger and more confident mindset in what I go through now.
Love it. I also love about me that I'm determined. I'll show up, but I'm going to figure out my own way to get there. Is that a good or bad situation? Not necessarily. Good morning, Brooklyn. Where are you listening in from? Thank you so much for joining us. So my determination looks for me like I'll get there. I'll get there because why? I'm determined. Because you see, it doesn't matter how you arrive. You showed up. Show up in your life. Before you can give yourself advice, show up fully. Some of us have had problems in depression. I remember a time when I was dealing with deep depression and I would not get dressed. Literally. If I were in my pajamas, that's what I was going to do. Why? Because I needed something better, but I was going to find another way. Later in life, when I was encouraged that my life has purpose, I started presenting myself, preparing. I think it was you, Pierce Princess, that talked about showing up. I showed up. I was preparing myself for the outside world because I didn't, I wanted to die. I didn't want to live. But my surrounding of people helped me to live for something. And they prepared me to live. And so one day, I showed up. That's also being ready. Being ready. So, without giving any personal advice, I want you guys to think about that. What do you say, Pierce Princess?
To what Trish was saying, I was saying, I was in chat. I put that procrastination is a really hard challenge to deal with. I struggle with that as well. And that's also something that's hard when you're aware of yourself as your procrastination. And I was also saying that self-care, when you were talking about your depression, is a really good way to get like easy little self-wins for yourself.
Yes.
So, taking a shower, or like maybe going outside, getting just like, an hour or maybe even just 20 minutes of sunshine, or, making your bed, or just little things like that also will help you feel better. And although it's not a major win or a major victory, it's exactly what you're talking about with those little, wins of the day.
Thank you for that. Also, be proud of yourself for the advice you gave yourself. Start the littlest way. Because that might be a long stretch for somebody just to make up their bed. How do I know that? Because I lived that. However you get there in life and you figured it out, there's no time clock. The fact is that you've learned, and you're going to be able to inspire somebody from what you have learned, even the mistakes in life. They're going to understand those and say, just like we all did, we recognize mistakes. We all concur that we all make mistakes. Those are our challenges. Patience. I have none. How about you guys?
Same.
I have no patience.
I feel like I have too much patience and resilience.
Yeah. Now I have the resilience and I have the persistence, but I am not a patient person. But I find in life, and I believe it was Pierce Francis that talked about being hard on herself. I'm hard on myself. And I need to practice patience with me first before I can be patient with other people. See, that's the part of me that I don't necessarily like. That I have no time. And I'm in this business and it's teaching me patience. So I really need to understand accomplishing patience. And how am I doing that? By this very podcast. I'm learning that. See, it's not hard for me to say, I have no lions to face. I have no challenges. Patience is one of them. If I teach myself patience, I can teach others patience, and they can learn through me. My adult children will agree with you because they've said it often. Mom, you have no patience. You have no patience. And sometimes patience makes the difference. That is the challenge that I face. And we learn it in different ways, just like the podcast here. We are learning things. We might do repetition of things. We might do things, but then you know what we do? We present it in a different way, and I need to present patience in a different way. I need to learn patience, because there's not one way of learning patience. If I go in the grocery store and the line is around the corner, am I going to be patient enough to buy groceries or go to another store? I can see there's open-endedness for patience, learning different things of how to be patient. What do you guys think?
I would say my route to patience would be my relationship, because it is long distance, and we've been together over a little over a year now. And I've gone up to see him, but leaving is always the hardest part, and having that patience with him, because I don't have the luxury to obviously be with him 24/7, or as much as I would like to. But I know that in January we will be moving in together. I'll be moving up to live with him, and so it's just about I got to go to work to save up money. Although there's days I don't want to go to work, but I know it has a greater goal in the future. And honestly, this has been the biggest patience I have ever had to learn. A whole over a year of patience. And I'm thankful that I've been taking my time.
I love it. Thank you for that. Trish, what do you think about patience with yourself as opposed to yourself?
Yes, I am learning patience with myself now. I have millions of patience for everyone else, but for me, I'm always on the go. And if I'm not on go, I make myself get up and go. So I'm having more patience with myself now, and I'm telling you, it feels great. It feels amazing. I'm not rushing anymore. I'm actually taking time. And as a person that loves to do things quickly, like as soon as I think of it, it has to happen. I'm learning how to take my time and do things more gradually and more smoothly, because it comes out better that way when I do it in a more thoughtful way. It makes it more thoughtful and looks well put together for myself. And that's how I show gratitude and self-care to myself when I'm patient with myself. When I'm like, you know what? You're just taking your time. It's gonna get there. Just like keep going. This may take a little longer than the last time, but you got it. You got it. And that has been my biggest improvement, I must say.
Thank you. Now, my motto used to be, I'm losing my patience with you. But now my mindset says, I'm finding my patience with me. Anybody catch that?
I see what you did there. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah. So people can be inspired by that. Moving on with giving advice to yourself on how we do it, there's a rule in life. You know how the rule says, and it's called the golden rule. Do we know what the golden rule is? Who knows?
I think it's love others like you love yourself.
Do unto others as you would do. Go ahead, Pierce's Princess. We want to hear from you.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely. But now, can we do something else in the same order? In order to get something, in order to get, you need to be a giver. We're not talking about presents. People want gifts. Giving the gift of yourself. Showing people how you know how to give up your time. Know how to give up your heart. These are the things I'm talking about. The way you support, the way you contribute. All of you contribute here in Vibe Talk. Now, what do you think you need to get in order to be able to give it? What do you all think?
Respect.
Respect. Love that. And how does that work in your life?
I mean, honestly, I don't. That's why I kind of don't like to follow the golden rule, although I do think it is a good rule. I do feel like it does come down to a level of respect. I will give you the respect, whatever respect you're giving me, that is the respect I will give you back. If you were being disrespectful towards me, I feel like my way of respect to that situation is I'm not even going to go to your level. When you're ready to come to my level, that's when I'm going to talk to you. Because when you're not on my level, then I don't even want to have any discussion with you. I'm just going to walk away from the situation, and hopefully that person realizes, oh, maybe there's a reason why this person doesn't want to talk to me, and then I'll have them reflect on those accounts where I just didn't want to talk to them, or respectfully declined the conversation, or just kept it short and sweet, because there's been times you were disrespectful to me, and so that's why it comes down to a level of what respect are you. I'm sorry. What is this respect being reciprocated?
I love it.
There you go.
Thank you. Respect. Thank you for that. Trish, what are you wanting to get in order to give it?
I feel like, honestly, forgiveness.
Forgiveness. How does that work with you? Love that.
Because how I always say that if I was in your situation, I'd want someone to forgive me. So I'm going to forgive you. And I feel like I sleep at night when I forgive people, because it helps my conscience, and I feel like I sleep at night when I forgive myself, because if I don't go to sleep. I sit and worry about it countless nights, and I just feel like people deserve that, and I deserve it back, because I'm not accustomed to people forgiving me like how I forgive them. But I'm around people more that give me the same that I give them back, and yeah, so forgiveness. I say forgiveness.
And I'm going to say this. Thank you both for that. You guys are amazing. I'm going to say this about forgiving. I relate, but I used to relate in a different way. That if I could not forgive a person, I could, especially if they hurt me. And in my life, it's taken a turn for growth for me. In my lifetime, I have been hurt, just as I have hurt others. But in my life, I learned why it was important to forgive other people. Because they do need forgiveness. Not forgiveness from another person per se, but they're dealing with the same thing we're dealing with. And Trish, you opened the key, actually. Because there's enough people walking around here that don't forgive themselves. So they act out. They don't really know how to grasp that. That's not always the case scenario, but I realized something, that I needed to forgive them. That doesn't mean not remember, but I needed to set a boundary for myself to remember I don't want to be hurt this way again. When people have done something that needs forgiveness from within themselves, let's talk about that. Because who are we to say if we forgive them or if we don't? It's forgiveness within ourselves. I have noticed that people are really hard, and I had to look at myself, because I can be really hard and say, well, I'm not going to forgive, but I realize the importance of forgiveness is to help them to forgive themselves. You're doing the work of impact because they already know they've hurt you. And when you start to forgive them, it doesn't mean you're going to have them over for dinner, or you're going to go hang out and shop or go to the movie. It just means what Trish said, you're going to sleep better at night. That point. So, what do we need to do? We need to understand how that forgiveness works. That's advice to ourselves. How does it benefit us? So, in order to get, you have to give that. My point, too, is that the more listening I do, the more people will listen to me. I need to really listen. Oh, I heard you, but did I listen to you? You will hear me say time and time again in this podcast to pull up your chair, and you might say, well, Miss Nisi, I'm not in a chair. That means to come closer. Turn the volume up, because I know you can hear my words. But being able to listen is different from hearing. Really understanding, getting the point, grasping it, applying it. That's what I mean when I say pull up your chair and listen. If I want that, then I need to be just as willing to listen. Point covered nicely. You all are so amazing. When you do hard work, go ahead.
Sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Am I able to add something to the forgiveness subject?
Sure.
Always. So this is actually really weird because I'm actually one of these people that I don't know if this will change in the future, but I'm very strict on forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a very big, like, I don't forgive easily. And I think that's because when I was younger, mm-hmm. I would forgive people who wouldn't change. So even if they did something wrong to me, I felt that, like, oh, I need to forgive them, or you know, but the same thing, and then they would just repeat it again. Mm-hmm.
Hurt you again. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm at a point where I kind of do like a 3-strike kind of system in my head with people. Mm-hmm. So, like, that way I set like my like forgiveness boundaries, right? If you know, to ensure it, because instead of like forgiving people multiple times, after a certain while, I just cut them out. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, is it because I don't know, because like it was really thought provoking what you said, but also it's like I find it hard to like.
Those are your feelings.
I can't forgive somebody who like hurt me though. I don't get the concept. Is that like I don't understand that?
No, you know what? That's a normal feeling. That's why we're talking about it. Those are challenges that we have to face in life. Now, and I get that because so many people have been hurt in some really devastating ways. But now, when you think about forgiving someone, if you can't forgive that person, then I need you to forgive yourself. How does that sound?
I like that, yeah.
Forgiving yourself. Because you understand something? As I grew up, I realized for all the people that I could not forgive, how was I doing with myself? Did I find maybe one thing that I didn't forgive myself for? Because without even putting that out on the air, I'm sure you look back in your mind if there's something that you could not forgive yourself for. I'm talking to the entire audience that will come here, and we know you will. Try that. Try forgiving yourself for that one thing that you just cannot. And let's work it from there, because I get you, Pierce Princess. I was like that. Go ahead, Trish.
And I just want to say, it's not as easy as it sounds, right? It's not something that made me realize that forgiveness is key because of a breakup I had. Oh my goodness. Okay. Try not to get emotional. A breakup I had, and so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna make an album so I can say my goodbye. It doesn't matter if he doesn't hear it. I just want to do it for me. So, on the process of creating the album, one of the songs, Close My Eyes, the lyrics talk about how I knew it was happening. I knew that he didn't love me, but I pretended that what I had was real. And it just made me realize that after that, I had a mental breakdown because I just realized out of all the times I'm like, I forgive you, I forgive you. I did not. I didn't forgive him. And I had lots of anger and frustration and sadness along with that. And that's what happens when, like, you don't forgive someone. Like, all of those emotions just build up into a gigantic elephant in your room that you feel like is like suffocating you. So that album was like my release, so I can get rid of the elephant in the room. And because that elephant was staying in there and it wasn't paying no rent.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like, forgiveness to me, I feel like that's my way of saying I'm not mad at you anymore. I'm moving on now. And I'm wishing you well. That's my way of saying I forgive you. And after I say that, this is the part that's very hard for me. Drawing the boundary line. That's very hard for me because it's like, I forgive you, yeah, but I still remember everything that you did. I can't forget that now, but I have to forgive you and just create my own space. And listen, I have been guilt tripped for that before. Like, how can you say forgive me and, like, you don't talk to me anymore?
Forgiving your... Go ahead.
It's healthy for me to create my space with them because I don't like being in the same room if I don't like have good things to say to you. It's like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Forgiving. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And so yeah, that's how I see forgiveness.
Okay. Forgiving yourself is the beginning of forgiving others. Just remember that. As you just
Honestly,
heard.
that really opened my eyes. I feel like my brain is expanding right now. Like, because, wow, I honestly, I really just kind of unpacked a bunch of, like, mental stuff right now while you're saying that. And I was thinking about, like, putting it into a different perspective and, like, it actually doesn't even need to be if somebody hurt you. It could just be, like, circumstantial, like death. And honestly, I was like, yeah, you're right. I really, yeah, I do have some, like, unresolved. I think actually me not probably being forgiving is probably what leads to some, like, some of my deep-rooted, like,
yes,
frustration and anger.
Yes,
actually,
that's where that's coming
people.
from. Yeah, and you know what I love about it?
And harboring them.
But you are honest about it. That's why we do Vibe Talk. By the way, in case you guys don't know, I do one-on-ones, okay? All of this is voluntary for you. If you want a one-on-one with me and we can talk about it, you're welcome to it. Just let me know when you'd like it. Wednesday and Thursday are my days to do it. We get a virtual setup for you, so you can do it right from your home, right from your car, if you want to sit under a tree, if you want to be at the beach, connect with me. Because just what Pierce Princess said about that forgiveness, we are challenged with that. That's why we're talking about it. And there's a lot of people out there that are like us. Trish, you've said some things too. You know, the elephant in the room she spoke of? That is a metaphor for we know something is happening, but we choose to not acknowledge it, not accept it, not react. That's the elephant that's in our room. I always say, never mind the skeletons in the closet. What about the elephant in the room? Make sense? Yeah. I want to thank this amazing conversation. Thank you guys so much. So now, how many of you consider yourself to be a hard worker? Me?
Me.
I do.
Yeah, hardworking. How do you see hardworking, Trish?
I see hardworking as doing the best that you can and be the best you can be. That's what I see.
What about you, Pierce Princess? Thank you, Trish.
Actually, I'll reference one of your talking points earlier. I would say a hard worker is somebody who shows up.
Yeah.
The first step to getting to a job is arriving.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say you're a hard worker if you're not even going to be there on time. You know, how can your work even, depend on you? And even if you're not even showing up for yourself, are you even, because that takes work. That's another form of work, and that takes effort, and that takes time. And if you're not doing, if you're not showing up, then I don't think, you're working hard enough.
My motto is I came to start and finish the job to its completion. True life. Reveal about me. I remember first ever starting my cleaning company. During the time that I wanted to switch to our cleaning service without the carpet service, I don't know what happened. I didn't have a car for a period of time. So I decided, since I couldn't find a ride, you know how it is when you're depending on somebody, I got on the literal bus with my broom, a pail, all my cleaning supplies. And I rode that bus. I will never forget this to that cleaning job. See, hard work means you've arrived. You not only showed up, but you completed the job. See, in our life, we have to decide in our mindset how hard we're going to work at something. You don't have to become an overachiever. Overachievers take your rest and know that if you've done a good job and that was your best, respect that. Go ahead, Trish.
I was going to say thank you. I need to hear that.
You're welcome. Advice you should be given to yourself. What do you think about that, Pierce Princess?
I think that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I've had moments at work where I've cried at work before, and it is the most, uncomfortable thing ever. But, I'll go into the walk-in freezer, take a breather, and then get back to work. And honestly, there's been times, where things have gotten intense and I just wanted to go home, but I stuck it through. And I'm really happy I did that, because after a while, when you look back on your journey, when you just have like little things being thrown at you, it's, I'm like, I can do this. This is no problem. I have dealt with so much worse. I'm happy I stuck through it, because it's going to pay off.
Doing your best at all times. We don't do our best to succeed in life to impress others. We do our best because it impresses our heart, our minds, and our souls, which is us. It impresses you, the you that stands inside of your human body environment. Be impressive to yourself. Go ahead, Trish.
I was going to say that's so true. Like, I don't do my best because, like, others don't see that I don't do my best. I do my best because, like, if I don't, I won't be happy with me. I won't be proud of me if I didn't do my best. So, that's so true.
I remember when I was teaching and we would get this where the head director would come in when I first started teaching preschool. And all the teachers would say, hey, the head director's coming in. And it's like, okay. Okay, I'm going to do exactly what I've been doing. Right? So they put on their best face, their best smile, which normally that was not the way they acted. But I was never moved by that because I was going to do my best because that's what I did. That's what I did. Expect that from yourself to be impressive to you. There's no one like you. How many of us feel afraid of something? Anybody?
No, you don't.
What'd you say, guys?
You go, Trish. You're good.
I said I am.
Yeah. Are you afraid of being afraid? How many of us are afraid of being afraid? It stunts us to our very growth. We can't get beyond the fear, even though we all feel afraid of something. Go ahead, guys. Waiting to hear you.
I would say I'm afraid of being alone. I actually have I've dealt with a lot of abandonment issues, and that's something I am aware of. But yeah, loneliness is actually something that really does scare me, and it's hard because I spent time. I always felt lonely. My whole life I always felt isolated, and it's so crazy because now that I'm in a relationship, I think about when we get old and then we're gonna die, and I don't want him to die first, and then that makes me feel sad because then I think about I'm gonna be alone again, and that fear, that is something that is in the back of my mind because my boyfriend, he's really logical, so obviously if he says if he were to die or whatever, and I said he would just say I want you to move on, I wouldn't want that to destroy you. I'd want you to live a good life and everything, but it's just thinking about that, it's a really, really scary thought to me.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Trish, being afraid, how was that for you?
Being afraid, I'd say I'm afraid of being afraid first. Then I'm afraid of uncertainty. I feel like being afraid, it freezes me. I don't know what to do, and that brings me to my biggest fear, not knowing what to do. And then I'm just stuck, and I see myself as this knowledgeable person, this smart person, and when I'm stuck and I don't know what to do, I'm like, oh, it low-key humbles me, but to a scary way. You don't know everything, but when I'm afraid, I'm like, oh, you thought you do this, but you don't, and then it's beating me up. That's how afraid looks like.
Fear. You've said some really powerful things: abandonment, fear of uncertainty, and mine is fear of trust. Trust. And I concur. I really feel both of you, but I understand that abandonment part. So what do I do about that? Well, we can mindset ourselves for certain fears. Fear is challenge. We fear many things. But now, do we have, is it Ouchie? Welcome in to Vibe Talk. Thank you for joining us.
I have to head out, but I love talking to you guys, and it's always such a great time being able to, listen and learn, and it's always a wonderful experience.
We love it, and thank you. Have a great day. We love you contributing toward the conversation. When you get a chance, you'll hear this recorded as well.
Yes, thank you guys so much, and thank you for all you guys are doing. I really appreciate it.
Finally, Friday. Thank you.
Yay!
I love it. Boy, she's a joy. Potato Chip, welcome in. Trish, what's our Vibe Talk question today?
Our Vibe Talk question is, what is the best advice that you would give to yourself?
Okay. We are having a great conversation. Friday is always facing our challenges. And we've talked about our challenges. We've talked about them, haven't we, Trish?
Yes, we have.
Growth is what we must learn. We talked, all of us have used the word stop today. We must not fear growth. I'll put it that way, because we're all afraid of something. I'm afraid of dogs, especially dogs I do not know. I'm afraid of them. Not even gonna lie. Listening to learn. How do we listen in here, Trish? And anybody else? How are you listening? But how do we listen in Vibe Talk?
We let our guests talk, and we listen to them. We hear what they have to say.
Yeah. That was a trick question, by the way. But for reals, listening to learn. We hear others talk, and we learn from them. How many people in here would you say you've learned from, Trish? Not an exact number.
I say a good amount.
Yeah. Every day when I come into Vibe Talk, I learn something from all of you. That includes you, Trish. I learn by listening. And as I already admitted to, I need to listen. See, because we all have ears, right? You say, well, I did listen. I heard what you said. But did you listen to learn something? My kids will always say, Mom, you didn't even listen. Because I'm a mom. What do I know? All mothers have had that. Every mother that has ever lived has had their child say that to them at one time or another. Don't fake it. That doesn't mean you're a bad mother. It means that you need to be listening so as to learn something, because sometimes this is what's happened to our children. They've kept the very things that have bothered them inside. And then you know what parents have seen? Suicide. I'm bringing this up, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a reality. See, listening to them can tell you a lot on how they're doing. When I hear my kids now, I learned through my youngest to listen, because I'm notorious for saying something off the cuff, because I take liberty, because that's my child, and I say, I know him. But sometimes you can be stopped dead in your track. Just because someone lives with you, I don't care if you birthed them or not, doesn't mean that you know them enough to listen. Famous people have lost their children. Your neighbor, your workmate has faced challenges that have almost killed them because they never knew that their child was going to take their lives. It could be as detrimental as that. Listen, how do we listen? Do we watch to listen? Because we can listen with our eyes too. Did you know that, Trish?
Yes.
How do we listen with our eyes?
Just seeing. We
Observing, yeah.
Yeah, we see, and then our mind analyzes what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. We can listen with our mind too. That does the same thing because it starts thinking about what you're seeing. Our ears listen too because we can hear with our ears how you sound. People that I know and love, when they get on the phone and their first hello, I automatically know if they're upset, if they're worried, if they're sad. See, how observant are we? People say, my pets. I know when my pet is happy. I said, well, how do you know your pet's happy? Because they're wagging their tails. Some even believe that their pets smile at them. I'm going to leave that right there. But now when it comes to human, do we listen with our mind, our ears, our eyes? Really coming to know. And I'm saying this for me because when my children say, Mom, you're not even listening, doesn't mean I'm a bad parent. It just means that I'm hearing them, but my mind might be trying to go out of the door, or my mind might be trying to do something exact at that moment. Pay attention. Go ahead, Trish.
When I'm explaining something to my mom, she's like, go ahead. I'm like, Mom, are you listening? She's like, go ahead, say it, I'm listening. He's typing on the computer. Mm-hmm. I'm over here explaining to her, what I saw on a video today, telling her what I think about it, and then she's looking at me, she was like, oh, go ahead, I'm listening. I'm like, Mom, I just said it. And then I think, she's probably, she's not focused. She's probably thinking about something else. And when parents don't listen, it does look hurt, but at the same time, I understand because they have a lot to worry about and a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that. So we need to listen. When you're listening to advice, you learn from advice. We've discovered that. But now, what can you learn from yourself? We look at our challenges on a daily basis, what we have gone through, what we've been through. And we say to ourselves, it's not fair that I have to go through this. Well, let me tell you something. How do you know someone else isn't going through what you're going through? Or even worse, life is good. Because, people that want the fanciest home should be telling themselves, at least I have a home, because there's some homeless people. People that are eating food. If you've got 2 pieces of bread, that's considered food. That is a staple. You say, that's not fair. How come so-and-so has a refrigerator full of food and I only have these 2 pieces of bread? Well, you're not hungry. Think about the hungry people. We're giving you something to think about. How about the work that you do, the things that you accomplish in your life? Have you ever met somebody that thought they were better than you? Trish? And you audience members, we are asking the same to you. Your challenge of finding somebody who thought they were one up on you in all that they did. You ever met somebody like that in life?
Yes, I have.
I have. So what do we do about it? We can be the example by not sizing ourselves up with them. Anything that you are doing in your life, whether you face a big challenge, a little challenge in your life course, remember that it isn't beneath you. I was talking to somebody one time and we were talking and we were laughing about kids giving their siblings haircuts. Kids give just something so simple as that. I think there's no mother and no father alive that has not experienced that, because all siblings have done it at one time or another. Or someone has cut their hair thinking they gave themselves a haircut. And you know it when you see it. You know what the person said to me? Oh, my kids never do stuff like that. So what are you saying? What do you think they were saying to me? Any idea?
I think they were saying, "Oh, I could never. Like my children would never do that." They're trying to be perfect. That's what they're trying to come off as.
Nobody's perfect. Pull up your chair. I said nobody's perfect. If you have a perfect child, please, we want to hear about it. We want you to be the call of the day. That's exactly what that person was doing. Exactly. And I want you, parent, to realize that you aren't beneath anybody because you are struggling with something that has to do, maybe you don't have just a challenge of your own, but you've got challenges with your children. If you put a group of 10 people in a room, 2 out of 10 are going to tell you that they've experienced that. We've seen it in here. We talked about fear. We all decided that we're afraid of something. We talked about showing up. We all related to that. No one in Vibe Talk, no one where you live, no one where you work or go to school is beneath you. What's my understanding here? We all walk on the same level of ground. We all stand on the ground, all of us. If you put your foot down, put your feet down. Stand up. What are you standing on? Level ground. Maybe some of you are at work. Maybe you're driving. But you get it. Some of us think that we're so great. and we're so perfect. We're in here because we've got no problem. I don't believe that for one moment. But how do you deal with the challenges? How do you deal with the challenges? Sometimes it's better to just listen. How about this? You can't always get what you want. But if you try, you may find you get what you need. Can't always have what you want, but you have what you need. You have everything you want, Trish?
Nope.
I don't have everything I want, but I have everything I need. Trust me. So thankful for that. How about making decisions? When we face challenges that there's a decision we need to make, regardless of what it is, do we make clear decisions? Or do we make decisions from emotions? I do. I make decisions based on my emotions. 50% of the time. Is that a good or bad thing? Who's to say? But I'll tell you, when you're all worked up in your emotions, maybe that's not the best decision, but you have to make it when your mind is clear. Sometimes you can be overjoyed or too happy about something and you've made a decision that you say, why did I make that decision? Oh, because I was so happy that day. Or you can make a decision because you were really sad and emotional that day and you ask yourself, how did I arrive at that decision? I shouldn't have done that. Think about your mood and why you need to make that decision. Why you need to be conscious of the decisions. Whatever state of mind you are in, positive or negative, you need to be thinking about clear decisions. Make them. How many of us worry about what other people think? I used to. What about you? And those of you in the audience, what do you have to say about that, Trish?
I do sometimes.
That's honest. I used to. Now, I care about people because if I didn't, I wouldn't be in this business. But I know that every individual that I've ever come in contact with is different. We think different, we act different, we speak different. We learn by the states that they live in that we are all different. Imagine us all living in the same countries. Can you imagine? We want our interaction with other people to do this. To create beautiful relationships, beautiful personalities. It's kind of like this saying, personality begins where comparison leaves off. You're going to get to know their personality. You're going to get to know yourself. Is it Caleb? Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here. Good morning. So when you worry about other people, think about not comparing yourself. Think about how you are an individual. You know the image, the picture that I told you guys to get, your selfie, your picture of yourself? Did you write on it already? Because we're going to be dealing with that assignment in the coming weeks. We're going to share how we are different and how we are same in similarity. But you're going to find out your uniqueness. Even twins are unique. Have you found that to be true if you've got twins in your family?
Yes.
Yeah, I have I have several sets of twins in my family. And they are different. They're unique. That's so amazing to me. So, opportunities, challenges. When you feel like you're defeated, there's a win on the other side of that. Hold on. There's a win on the other side of that. Because for your every loss that you've ever experienced in life, you have the opportunity to win on the other side of that loss. That is challenging. I want you to pull up your chair closer. For every loss, there is the opportunity to win. What does that mean? What does that look like to you? It should look like this. Instead of impossible, I'm possible. Good morning, Sam. How are you? Where are you listening in from? Thank you for joining Friday. I am well. What is our Vibe Talk question, Trish?
Our Vibe Talk question is, what advice would you give to yourself?
What is the best advice to give to yourself? Sam, we're asking that question. Thank you, Trish. How about our consciousness? Our conscience. You know, everybody worries about what other people think, what other people do, but what about us? Do we think about our character? So many people are involved in the way they look, the way they wear their hair. All those things are self-care, but are we so engrossed in them that we can't see past that? Do we see ourselves, our character? What does your character say about you? We're challenged with that every day. Because for so many rights that you want to do, there's somebody over here doing what is wrong. What's your character? Do you find strength in your character? Find strength in facing your challenges. What does Sam say, Trish?
Sam says, that is true. Sometimes I just put a mask on. I just play along with people. I don't really be myself.
Yeah. Start being yourself, because why? Everybody else is taken, Sam. Be true to yourself. Get connected with yourself. Face your challenges. Thank you for that, Sam. Sam, where are you listening in from? What state, please, and thank you. We are looking for your state. USA, that's all I want. USA, thank you. Sam from the USA, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. So now, did you learn something today? While we're closing our topic for today on facing your challenges through advice and learning from there, I want to give special thanks to Trish, my co-host, and I want to thank a few people while we're here. I want to thank Alfredo Perez, all the way from Puebla City. Thank you for liking our Vibe Talk Reels. Our Vibe Talk Reels can be found where, Trish? Can you put that on both sides so that they can find it? I want to thank Lucia Malley from Boulder, Colorado. I would like to thank you guys for listening. Our Vibe Talk Reels are touching the hearts and minds of people, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So you can find and follow. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and YouTube. All capitals, Vibe-Talk, and our direct connect, even after this podcast is over, you can still answer the question interactively. What is the best advice to give to yourself? I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Pierce Princess for joining in our conversation. Thank you. If you like today's podcast, we're going to encourage you to find and follow us on Facebook. Is that on here? Thank you so much. Our states that were in here, Trish, while you take it away with your Trish's treasures, please.
States in here today. Southern California, Palmdale, California, and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And the USA.
And the USA.
Yeah.
As you know others, and as you want betters for others, know yourself. Want better for yourself. And as you want to give others the best advice for their benefit and what will make them happy, do the same for you. Listen to you. You know what you need. No one knows it better than you do. And be sure to always take care of yourself. Rest when you're tired. Sometimes self-care is the best care.
Love it.
And it's the best advice.
Yeah. What's your question? Your last question of the day. Let us not forget that.
What have you learned or discovered about yourself today? And what have you experienced here today?
For me, I have learned to be honest with myself. And that to me is recognizing my strengths. Even though I might have challenges, to be honest with myself, like when I said that I was procrastinator. Or like when I said I don't listen. I hear words, but am I really listening to others? If I want them to listen to me, I must listen to them. I will strive to be honest within myself because I'm honest with other people. I'm very honest. But I have to look at myself and think about the challenges I face and do I want to overcome it? And last but not least, to remember on the other side of challenge, there's always a winning. Always. I felt really good about this podcast, and we had an amazing conversation this morning. Trisha, my question is to you. What have you learned about yourself today, and what did you discover about yourself. What was your experience in here today?
Today, I've learned that I am very hard on myself, and I have to be honest with myself and tell myself it's okay to make mistakes. Be patient and be patient with me, like I'm patient with everyone else. And my experience here today was informative. Like, I got a lot of information today that I needed, and I'm gonna start feeding that information to myself because I need that.
Best advice. So if you're not sure about the best advice you could ever give to yourself, replay this podcast, because I know you all are looking for answers, but that's what's nice about Vibe Talk. I will help you to help yourself find the answers. We'll work on that together. It would be so boring if all we did, my co-host and myself, would just blurt out answers for you. Where do you fit in this week's Facing the Lions? I want to thank everybody who has spent their entire week with us, because there have been some. Those of you who have just found us and loved us, we say welcome and thank you. Please let other people know about Vibe Talk, because people are looking for a podcast like this. We've learned so much together. I'm excited even for the new week, though it has not come. In the meantime, have an awesome weekend. Make it amazing. You've got anything that's inspired you, or something or someone you want to share with us? Please let us know about it. Connect directly with us, 661-503-8993. Leave us your voicemail and text. We will read it on the air unless you tell us not to. We're looking for your stories to inspire, motivate, and positive. Even if it's not a positive story, how can you make it positive? What do you learn from it? We are looking for stories like yours. I want to thank you once again for spending your time with us. Next week, we look forward to being with you. We will be discussing, I said that this week, but I mean it for next week. We will be discussing feelings buried and alive never die. That link, Trish, if you want to start them out on that link so that they can get used to the book, we're going to be doing some audio reading. You're going to get a chance to ask questions, and we will put up a sign to let you know that we're doing audio reading. And that's your chance to be able to ask questions or feed into the conversation. It's live. All next week, we will be considering feelings buried alive never die. Such an awesome book. Trish, thank you for your reference to the book. Thank you. So we ask you this week, what lions or challenges have you faced? That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you right back here on Monday morning. Thank you for this Friday, Facing the Lions.
Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week, what did you face?
I wish you more to face your lions. Have a great weekend, everybody.